Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in again. Today I've got for you the Bridgeford Foods tip of the month, and it's a good one. It will help save you money and make your fishing line last longer. And specifically, what I'm talking about is applying a backing line to both your bait casting and spinning reels. Well, what's a backing line? Well, backing line is when you take an old line that may have been used, or you've got, say, a spool like this that doesn't have enough to fill an entire spool. You take that line, you apply it to your spool before putting on the line that you want to use. So what that does is that takes up a bunch of the spool that normally is being filled then with line that you're not going to use anyways. So how do you determine how much backing line to put on? Well, what I'd recommend is grabbing the reels that you use and looking up to see what their line capacity is. In this case, on the Abu Garcia Revo Rocket 20, you can see here that it says it's 120 yards of 8-pound diameter line. So what you need to recognize is if you have a higher pound test, that's a wider diameter, which means you won't get quite 120 yards. You might get 110 yards with 10 pounds. So you want to recognize what line you're putting on, and that will change. But in this case, 8-pound test is about what I use in my spinning reels. So therefore, 120 yards is 360 feet, way more than you need. So what I would do is apply some sort of backing line like this up to almost half, not quite half of the spool. I would probably put about 160 feet of line on, and then that gives me roughly 200 feet to fish with, which is quite a bit of line for a day's worth of fishing. If you break off at the end of your cast at some point, yeah, you may then not be able to use the remainder of that line without respooling, but it saves you a bunch of money in the long run. So with my bait casters and my spinning reels, I'm generally spooling with a backing up to almost half the spool. The one time I don't use half the spool is if I'm using something where I'm using just fluorocarbon. At that point, I'll usually put about a third backing on. And if I'm using braid to pitch, where I'm really only using maybe the last, quarter of my line, I will actually apply more than half of the backing on the rods that I'm flipping and pitching with, because at that point, I only need maybe 70 or 80 feet, in reality. So you can apply more backing in those instances. But the key here is you're able to reuse line as backing, which is going to save you money, and you're not going to be using as much as the line that you plan on fishing with, which makes your spools last longer, and that saves you money. So guys, if you're not using backing on your bait cast and spinning reels, I highly recommend it. It's really something that most people are doing at the professional level now to make their line last longer. So give it a try. Make sure to put some backing on your line. This was your Bridgeford Foods tip of the month. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Another video coming out tomorrow.